and just the story was so gripping. The film is constantly moving from point A to point B, and it's just so well told that I felt like I was just entirely locked in.
I need you, brother. Sensei, please.
Courage, Bob. Courage.
That's it. Courage. Yeah. Thank you. Hey, thank you, Sensei. Thank you, Sensei. Thank you. God damn it! Viva la revolution!
What is up, Drive-By Movies here, and you are watching
Fresh Releases.
My name is James.
My name is Blaise.
And today, just after one movie after another, we are checking out one battle after another.
You know what freedom is?
What?
No fear. Go!
Paul Thomas Anderson's One Battle After Another is the story of a group of ex-revolutionaries that reunite to rescue one of their own's daughter after their evil enemy resurfaces after 16 years. So, James, this was a film that I feel like kind of the trailers started premiering around the same time as Eddington. The movies kind of felt similar to me with like the style or just like the setting, I guess. Like they felt like they were, at least just from the marketing, which we've been talking about for the past couple weeks, is like the marketing of films and how they're marketed, especially when discussing highest to lowest. But for this film, it felt like the marketing just kind of, there wasn't anything drawing me to the movie, so I wasn't sure if I was even going to be interested in it. But after hearing all the hype, there was a lot of rave reviews coming out of the first weekend of this movie. We went and checked it out at the Vista in one of the only VistaVision screenings, one of the only 4 in the world, so we can successfully say that we can scratch that off our list. We've seen a film projected in VistaVision, not just only shot in VistaVision. But anyways, James, what do you think of the film?
Yeah, like you, it was a movie that I wasn't necessarily interested in. Even the trailer was a big deal because not so much it was a big deal for like the internet or just like, you know, casual moviegoers. The Vista, I live in Los Angeles, is probably my favorite theater in all of Los Angeles. Anytime a new movie is there that I'm interested in, I want to check it out. And I remember they were hyping up, we have in 70 millimeter the trailer for One Battle After Another. And I was just like, okay, it's just a trailer for the new Paul Thomas Anderson movie. Every 2 to 3 years, he has a new movie. It's always a big deal. And, you know, Paul Thomas Anderson is one of the finest directors working today. He's just not for me. Like, his shtick is just not something I'm necessarily interested in. So he's directed some great movies that I consider some of the best films of all time, but also he's directed movies that are just critically acclaimed that I was just like, that just wasn't for me. So I wasn't really too excited for that. And I kept getting it mixed up. You were getting it mixed up with Eddington, the Ari Aster flick. I was getting it mixed up, even though it's a completely different vibe, but I was getting mixed up with the Darren Aronofsky movie, Caught Stealing. Even though, like, I was just like, oh, both movies have to do with, like, you know, on the run, whatever. And I was just getting mixed up. And both are very prolific, famous auteurs working today. And they both have movies coming out within a month apart. So, you know, this one just kind of went over my head. And when you came up to LA to visit and wanted to check it out, I was just like, all right, whatever. But I was amazed at how great of this movie this was. And I mean, it shouldn't be a surprise, but still, though, I loved it and had a great time. What were your thoughts coming out of it?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. This wasn't, like I said, a movie I was anticipating, but there was a time in my film, like, loving career where Paul Thomas Anderson was at the top for me. He was like my favorite filmmaker around like There Will Be Blood. Like I'd seen all his movies up to that point in time. There Will Be Blood is like a masterpiece. So coming off that high, I was like, dude, he's my favorite auteur. And then I think he hit I wouldn't say like they're bad movies or anything, but just a couple speed bumps for my enjoyment of the films that he had created. So I kind of fell off him a little bit. Like I still haven't even watched Licorice Pizza, but outside that, I think I've seen all of his movies. So for when it comes to this one, I was like, but then seeing those rave reviews, I'm like, all right, we got to check this out. And especially we got to take the opportunity to see it the way that it was meant to be seen in VistaVision 70 millimeter film screening. But my one complaint of this, and I have to say, this film was only out for a week, less than a week. It had premiered on a Thursday. We saw it the following Wednesday. That film was cooked after 1 week of just 4 screenings a day. One of the films had caught fire the first opening day. So I don't know if this was a reprint and it didn't have as much mileage on it. But the one that we saw, like, I remember seeing movies growing up in film. Like we saw a lot of movies growing up in like projected on film. That's all there was. There was no digital cinema. And this might be like almost blasphemy to say, but there's something to be said about having a perfect screening where there's no visual issues, like there's no blurry shots or shots that are the luminance isn't quite all the way. It's like almost like dull, or even like just all the major and minor imperfections that are scratches on the film and stuff like that. Because this one definitely had a lot of that, a lot of specks, a lot of dust, or I don't know if it was just damage to the actual print, but this print went through it. I think if anyone is to purchase this print after the full duration of the movie, there's no way this thing is even going to run.
Yeah, we were kind of joking about it after watching it about how like the first run, like I'm pretty sure the first day it caught on fire. But they've still been playing 4 screenings a day since then. I think originally it was supposed to be 3 screenings a day, but due to high demand, they've added 4 pretty much every day. If you live in LA or if you're just curious how things are running. But for those who don't know what VistaVision is, like it's a special presentation. Like normally the Vista has trailers. There's no trailers, so it just goes straight in the movie. But more importantly, it's a different aspect ratio. I thought it was going to be in 70 millimeter film because I know that there are special IMAX screenings in 70 millimeter, which was already rare for movies like Sinners or Dune Part 2, as well as Oppenheimer. But no, our screen was just a normal 35 millimeter, but just like you said, one of 4 theaters in the world showing it in VistaVision, which is a very special aspect ratio. And it was really cool to see. It's kind of got an IMAX look, but just at a normal multiplex level, I guess you could say. A lot of it has a lot more vertical imagery that you're not used to seeing. But as someone who goes to the Vista, the film and scratches didn't bother me a whole lot. Just because I've seen movies like Companion and Heretic there that are digital movies that just got converted into film reel to screen at the movie. And those I thought looked pretty poor. It's still fun to see in film, and I love that warm feel to it, but also it has just kind of dull colorization to it where I'm like, I bet in digital this is a lot more vibrant. But just seeing it in the screening it was a sold out theater, but I thought because we saw it at 10 a.m., a few people must have just slept in and skipped out on it or something, but it was still a packed screen. People were still into it at 10 a.m. And I'm surprised that I was able to eat a big bucket of popcorn and drink a cider at 10 a.m. because I was ready for the movie.
Yeah, this is one of those movies going into, I'm like, there's no way I'm going to be able to stay awake for the full duration. It was like 2 hours and 30 minutes or around that ballpark. And I'm like, there's no way I'm going to be able to stay up. Even though it's early, hadn't slept the best that night, just was kind of excited for the movie, to be honest. And so I wasn't able to fall asleep as easily. And this was one that kept me up the entire duration of the movie. I was entirely locked in, and the story was so gripping. The film is constantly moving from point A to point B, and it's just so well told that I felt like I was just entirely locked in. This film was actually surprisingly way funnier than I was even anticipating or expecting. Like this film, especially with the audience that we saw it with, we saw it with those film geeks, a lot of people that were just bizarro versions of us. That were from and lived in Silver Lake, basically. And it just feels like that was the right audience, because this film could have been like the biggest comedy of the year with that audience and that screening.
Yeah, which is something I definitely wouldn't have expected. Leo DiCaprio, we've seen him in comedic roles, but just he's really funny playing kind of just like a bumbling idiot in this movie. Like, he's the main character. You expect him to be the hero. He tries to be a hero, but he's just like the idiot who just keeps digging himself into holes throughout the movie. Whereas there's like, heroes throughout the movie, like the daughter, of course, and then Benicio del Toro being really comedic without actually telling any jokes in the movie. He's just one of the most charismatic actors working today, and it really shows in this movie. And just Paul Thomas Anderson used him perfectly just to give even though this movie is very intense and you have no time to breathe in this movie. Like, if I was to give you a recommendation when to use the bathroom, I'd say just go before the movie and go after the movie, just because even though like there's a lot of comedy in the movie and there's like some moments of silence, just each scene is very important. There's a very like tight, perfect script, I guess you could say, with no room for fat and no room to really trim within this movie. Like, yeah, maybe a couple moments here and there, but pretty much everything's utilized perfectly for this movie to just keep it going and just like get you from one scene to the other without it feeling like rushed or anything. It's just really well put together.
Yeah, I think I was really surprised also by the fact that I'm not surprised because Paul Thomas Anderson. I'm just surprised that he was able to tell a movie that was poignant with the time, but it didn't feel too preachy at times. Like, it feels like he told a movie that actually makes sense at this exact point in time. It's not a period piece by any means, but it could, exist within 5 years before, 5 years later. I feel like the now in a way, but it just felt very poignant to what's going on, in history at this moment in time, while also not feeling like he's throwing his vision down your throat or throwing where he's not, pushing his agenda down your throat, really.
Right, yeah. Going with that, actually, one of my complaints with the movie, I guess you could say, it's not a complaint, though, but I just thought they could have did a little bit of a better job of pushing the 16 years later and the way people looked, I thought. Just because, Leonardo DiCaprio, I think they changed his hair a little bit, added some grays, but just at the beginning of the movie, I was just like, the age gap here feels very different for his girlfriend. And then just when it goes 16 years later, I'm just like, he still feels the same age here and stuff. I feel like there's like a different realm or different timeline or universe where this movie was made, where Joaquin Phoenix plays the same role. And then even Sean Penn's role. Sean Penn was a standout in the movie. Like, I'm not the biggest Sean Penn fan, just because every time I look at him, I see Spicoli. And it's funny because he is making that stupid Spicoli face like almost this entire movie. But just he's such an intense, hard-ass villain, and just some of the lines of dialogue he says, just like the type of girls he's into, I was just like, wow, man, this guy is wild, and I cannot believe he just said that. And I was just dying laughing. Yeah, but I also see like a different like realm where maybe like someone like Kevin Bacon played that role. But I like the cast that we got. Everyone was perfect in this movie, but just like that was one thing that just like caught my eye.
I will say, I think I've heard that from, you're not the only one. Like, I feel like I've heard that from a lot of people, that Sean Penn doesn't feel like that initial first pick. But I will say it's only because we haven't seen Sean Penn in a role that he's fully given himself into for a while. He fully gives himself to every role he's in. It's just he hasn't been in a major picture that everyone's going to go see. It's the fact that he's like really there on the center stage. Have you seen the images of him on like the red carpet for this movie? He looks fucked up. Like, he looks like he shouldn't be there, basically. He's I think that's just the way that he is. He's like such a character, but he looks like somebody's fucked up uncle that just wound up on the red carpet. Not like he's drunk, but I meant like he looks disheveled. Like, just he looks like he's been in a cave or something. But yeah, like, I think that's just, he's an enigma. Like, Sean Penn is less of a character or a person than an enigma itself, Like, he's timeless. But yeah, just he definitely like is so good in this movie. He really, I think if you could see an alternate universe where Kevin Bacon or someone else was in this movie, but I really think Sean Penn is what elevated this movie to masterpiece.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I do agree with it still at the end of the day. And yeah, it's just funny seeing like Sean Penn. He's pretty short compared to a lot of his castmates within this movie, but still very intimidating with how buff he is and muscular. dude had like super veiny John Cena arms, and just like, I don't know, this dude's in his 60s, I assume. So just like the fact that he's that well in shape, that intimidating, and just that comedic within this movie, he really brought it all. And when it comes to Oscars, all I keep hearing about is Dwayne Johnson from my TikTok ad feed for The Smashing Machine. But I think it's locking in. Pretty much Sean Penn's going to get a Best Supporting Actor nomination. Leo, no matter what, always gets a Best Actor nomination. But I'd say it's still a supporting role for him within this movie. But also wouldn't be surprised to see Benicio del Toro in this. And then, also just a lot of other characters within this movie, too, that I think are very capable of getting a nomination. But this is definitely going to be the movie that is going to be talked about for the rest of the year, I could say, with just that amazing chase sequence, the way it's shot, and just some of the great performances and perfect script, I guess you could say.
Yeah, this has just been a great year for movies. This is definitely one of the best. We had a lot of really good movies this year. I mean, I feel like most years we do have a lot of good movies, but this especially has been probably one of the best years of movies in the last decade.
Yeah, I think every year I always have like 3 or 4 3.5 star movies in my top 10. I think this year is all 4 and 4.5 stars. I never give movies 4.5 stars. And for those who don't know, I never give movies 5 stars because I'm pretentious. But this year I think I have 3 4.5 star movies and then like a bunch of 4-star movies. And yeah, fantastic year. And, I really want to hear from the people who hated this movie. What did you not like about it? Leave a comment down below. Great way to help support the show. Just having a conversation with us, talk about the movie with us, and let us know what you liked about it too if you saw it.
And if you guys haven't already, go ahead and smash the like button, hit the subscribe button, and click that notification bell to get all of our latest updates.
And speaking of updates, catch all our social media links down below. We have Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, also our own personal letterbox accounts. That's it for this week. Tune in next week for a brand new video.